right, so last time we were adding integers with the same sign. This one is just the very opposite of that. We're going to add integers with a different sign today, okay? So that's exactly your learning target, is I know how to add integers that have different signs. Okay, so to do this, the key concept of how we would do this, to add integers that have different signs, first we're going to subtract the absolute values of each number, okay? And then there's a couple of rules that go with that. So if the answer is going to be positive, if the absolute value of the positive number is larger than the absolute value of the negative number, okay? If you got to read this very carefully, okay? Because it's very wordy, but these are the rules, okay? So the answer, again, I'm going to read this again. So the answer will be positive if the absolute value of the positive number is larger than the absolute value of the negative number. Okay, so what that looks like here is if we have a problem here where we have 4 plus a negative 2, okay? And we're going to take the absolute values of these. So absolute value of 4 is 4. We're going to subtract out the absolute value of negative 2 is 2, okay? Now, we know that this answer is going to be positive because the absolute value of the positive number, 4, is larger than the absolute value of the negative number, negative 2. Okay, so this is going to be a positive answer. And if you need to, you can put in the positive right away. And 4 minus 2 is 2. So the answer from 4 plus a negative 2 is positive 2. Okay. Now, if we continue on here, it says the answer will be negative if the absolute value of the positive number is smaller than the absolute value of the negative number. All right? Remember, let's read this again real quick so we try to understand what this is really saying. It says the answer will be negative if the absolute value of the positive number is smaller than the absolute value of the negative number. Okay, so what that looks like using the same numbers here is if we have negative 4 plus a positive 2. Okay, we take the absolute value of both of these. We get 4 minus 2. Okay. Now, remember, it says the answer is going to be negative if the absolute value of the positive number, 2, is smaller than the absolute value of the negative number. And 2 is smaller than 4. So this is going to be a negative answer. Okay, so you can put in the negative right away. And we know that 4 minus 2 is just 2. So negative 4 plus 2 is a negative 2. Okay? And then I think that one of the easiest ways to think about this is if you look at a number line. Okay? So if you look at a number line, and I'm just going to make one real quickly here. We have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to go out to 5 on both sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So negative 5 and 5. I'm going to go ahead and put in all these values here. The way I like to think about it is where are you starting? You're starting at a negative 4. So you're reading wherever you're starting at is negative 4, and you'll put a dot there. And you're adding 2, which means adding is going to the right. So you're going to come up, go over 2 spots to the right, which is right here. So the answer is negative 2. All right. Or if we were to take it the other way over here, you're starting at positive 4 plus a negative 2, which the negative cancels out the plus, so you're going back 2. You're going to go back 2, and the answer then is positive 2. And that's exactly what we got on both sides. Okay. So let's do a few examples. All right, example 1 says find 6 plus a negative 9. So the first thing we need to do is find the absolute value of each number. The absolute value of 6 is 6, and the absolute value of negative 9 is 9. Okay, now the answer, this is the negative number is larger than the positive number, the absolute values of them. So we know our answer, I'm going to put an equal sign over here, I know our answer is going to be a negative. Okay, and then we just have to subtract the values. 9 minus 6, well, that equals 3. So we have a negative 3 as our answer. Negative 3. All right, example 2. We have find negative 15 plus 8. Take the absolute values. The absolute value of negative 15 is 15. And the absolute value of 8 is 8. So what that means then is because the absolute value of the negative number is larger, then we're going to be taking the negative. or we know the answer is going to be negative. And then we just, again, have to subtract out. 15 minus 8, have to borrow. 15 minus 8 is 7. So that's 7. So our answer is negative 7. All right, let's do our last example here. We have find negative 34 plus 42. So the absolute value of both of these is 34, and the absolute value of 42 is 42. 42 is larger, so we know that this answer is going to be positive because 42 is the positive amount. And if we subtract this, 42 minus 34 is 8. So we have a positive 8 as our answer. Okay. Now here's the thing. This type of stuff, it's starting to get a little bit more confusing because there's a lot of rules and a lot of things that just it just makes it a little bit harder. Okay. So what I really, really want to encourage you to do, and you really need to do this if you struggle with this at all, is you have to check your work. Whether that's do a number line, whether that's after you finish all of your homework assignments, you go back and you look on a calculator and make sure you've been doing it right. Whatever you need to do to check your work so that you start getting comfortable. And this type of stuff, what it does is it just takes a lot of practice. So please, please practice this on the practice problems, and then come in the morning and we'll do some work around it to try and kind of really get the hang of it. Okay? Good job.